This smart notebook game is called The Last Expedition. It is for students in grade 5 that are working on adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Some things that students will need before starting this game are scrap paper, pencil, so that way they can do their workout instead of having to do it in their heads. If students do not know their multiplication tables off the top of their heads and could produce it fairly quickly, they will need a multiplication chart. You and your climbing team have trained for years to go on this last expedition. Your mission is to climb 29,035 feet to the top of Mount Everest. This is a very dangerous journey. Grab your supplies and meet me at the airport. Good luck. Make sure you look at the map when your plane lands. So, as you can see, all of the buttons in the game, most of the objects are clickable, and they all have a page that's its destination. There's 10 questions, and the 10 triangles with numbers represent each question. There's directions on every page or asks a specific question. Some pages have these firecrackers or pieces of dynamite. You have to click the top right where my mouse is, right above the Y and way to Mount Everest sign in the background to light the fuse. For this page, the objects need to be dragged into the gray boxes, and it's a sorting game to sort the improper fractions from the fractions. So if an object goes in the wrong box, it will bounce back out. If it goes in the right box, like the previous one, it'll disappear. When all of them are completed correctly, the student will go on to next. As you finish each question, cover each triangle with X. So there are questions that you have to drag items into, and there are questions that are more open-ended where you have to type your answer, like this one. So what is 1/2 plus 1/4? Students need to think of strategies like least common denominator. If I move the hint box over, it will say find the least common denominator, and the two denominators are in red, 2 and 4. It lists 2, 4, 6, 8, or 4, 8, 12, 16. The least common one is 4, so that is what the denominators need to change to. So on the scrap piece of paper, the students would make this chart themselves. Then they would take the 1/2, they would multiply the top and the bottom by 2 to convert it to 2/4. 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. So they would, after they solved, they would take their mouse, they would type up their 3/4. Then they drag it into, and the green check mark means that it's correct. The red X means it's incorrect. There's also a dynamite on this page with a fuse where you could have the timer, depending on children's ability. It's an extra feature, and if it's something you don't want in your game, you could just delete it before the students play it. When they get the answer correct, next. Then we're going to mark off question number 2. For the third question, there are 2 different color vortexes. The one on the left is 1/4, and the one on the right is 1/3. The students will need to find equivalent fractions to the 1/4 and to the 1/3 and put them in the correct vortex. So, for instance, 5/15. I know 1/3 times 5/5 is 5/15, so I'm going to put it over there. For 1/4, say I dragged 2/6 by accident. Incorrect answers would be spun out and spit back to where they started. When students are all done dragging and sorting, the equivalent fractions, they may click the next button. There's also a hint at the bottom that shows how to find equivalent fractions, where the top and the bottom, or the numerator and denominator, both need to be multiplied. Question number 4 is another one that students will definitely need paper and pencil to solve. The hint is a little less. There's not as much numbers because students should know from the previous one, like this, that they need to continue until they find the smallest common one or the least common one. So as we go through the math facts, 7, 14, 21, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So 21 is the smallest common denominator. So they would take their 5/7, they change the denominator and the numerator. So it would be 15 over 21 minus 7 over 21. And the answer would be 8 over 21. So for this unscramble, it's quite challenging with the timer. The quicker you do it, the more amounts of points you get, but some of the words are fairly long. These are all math terminology that go along with this specific lesson. There are clues at the bottom that can help. So doing it that fast gave me 50 points. The longer the word, generally the harder it is to score a lot of points, the longer time it takes. So then you click next. The clear or the blank one means space to separate the words. And this one is very difficult to get done in the amount of time. And those are all the ones that have to be unscrambled. And the clues are always in the bottom left-hand corner for these. The 6th problem is another adding. The 7th, the words, which are where the answer goes, and the description are examples where students need to solve and they can check their answer. So, say I just drag them in. Say I put the wrong one in an answer. So, the ones that where X need to be resolved. Another one that needs to be solved, mainly with pencil and paper. It also has the same hint with a little extra help for a reminder for finding the least common denominator. So this question is converting the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So when you click start, 1 3/4. 1/8. So the point is to convert the mixed numbers to the improper fractions. The improper fractions are displayed in the white boxes and the mixed numbers are in the red. And you could do either to see what the answer is. And the last one is another one that needs the pencil and paper to solve, and it also has the hint. And when the last question is answered, as you can see, all the numbers were in the top right-hand corner of the game. It goes to the end. Congratulations, you reached the top. And when you click the star, there's some victory music for 40 seconds.